Hello. So, uh, I'm right now in the middle of anywhere, and I'm sitting in a place in the terrace of a building, and I have all kinds of sounds around me. I have people talking on the road below, and there's a construction going on in the house next to mine. And I am gonna be recording the demonstration of a mindfulness practice. And I thought it is more appropriate to shoot this in any day, anywhere kind of a place, rather than a quiet, room, and then speak about you can practice this anywhere, which I think makes no sense. So this practice is about finding a way to come to your common sense during everyday moments of living. Now, everyday moments of living could be like this. There are noises which you don't really want to hear. There may be company that you don't really want to be around. You just want to be in your own space. But everyday life is like this. It's not perfect. It is in it's imperfectly perfect. Yeah. Well, we may have opinions about it, but it is the way it is. And we have our everyday moments of living, and we have our life to live, we have our jobs to do, we have our commitments to attend to. How do we maintain our common sense when things may not be as well as we would like it to be every moment? And then how to have our life work, our everyday moments work, so that we are doing what we need to be doing. Now, this practice involves paying attention to our senses, paying attention to the breath, and any and every information that comes to us comes through the sense organs. Now we have 5 sense organs: the sense of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, through, say, our skin. Or we consider a whole body to be one sense organ to just feel. So that would be the 5th. And then I also count the 6th sense to be sense of knowing, and the 7th sense to be the sense of self. So that when we are more in awareness of our sense of self, as of our own self versus, say, the environment around or people around, then we know if we're getting lost in the crowd or are we being the individual we need to be. So I call that the 7th sense. Now, all information that comes to us comes through our senses. Now, this practice is about finding a common sense, which means getting our wherewithal together during everyday moments of living, so that we find ourselves, so that we can be an individual amongst the crowds and not just get lost in the crowd while we need to be doing our activities and meeting our commitments. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm bringing my attention to my breath, just taking a relaxing breath. And when I do that, my nervous system and everything responds to the present moment, because breathing happens in the present moment. I'm bringing my attention to my breath and just breathing and inhalation and exhalation. Doing that makes my chest expand and contract, which is where my heartbeat also is. So just paying attention to my breath and the movement of the breath in my body brings me closer to the physiological movement of a heartbeat and of a respiratory rhythm. Then I bring my attention to any sounds that I can hear in my immediate vicinity or outside. And then, so I'm noticing the different intensities of sound. It could be subtle, it could be loud. For example, I just heard the crow crow, and then the vehicle just passed by. There are rustling of leaves, the sound of the wind. So there are subtle sounds, there are gross, loud sounds. So just paying attention to sounds without noticing what those sounds are, just that there are different intensities of sounds. And I'm particularly paying attention to silence. I'm trying to listen to silence. Silence is there no matter what amount of sounds there is. Silence is there because every sound is a deviation from silence. The silence is there inside everything, yeah, inside every other sounds there is. So I'm paying attention to silence while paying attention to the different intensities of sounds. That helps my nerves calm down quite a bit. So I'm not getting anxious by all the kinds of noises. I may be getting emotionally drawn in, but just paying attention to the different intensities, particularly the subtle sounds and the sound of silence, helps me not get agitated, which is good. So I can do this at any time. And then I also notice my breath, which is just gently moving in to my body and out. Then, so that brings me closer to my heartbeat. And tensions in my rib cage usually are noticed when I pay attention to my breath, when I pay attention to the movement of my chest in response to my breathing. So once I notice there's tension in my rib cage, it becomes easier for me to relax. Once I relax my rib cage, half my stress is down. And I just notice the softness in my body. And I just pay attention to my breath. Inhalation and exhalation. And half my common sense is back. I can think more clearly. Because when we are tense, our eyes kind of get clouded and we can't see clearly. Our eyes are kind of clouded by emotions. When that happens, the thinking goes befuddled, goes foggy. We can't think clearly. If we need to make quick decisions, we are likely to, make impulsive decisions, and that could affect our quality of life. And it could be hasty, and we don't want to regret. So this makes it so functioning more in common sense helps us maintain the all is well state of quality of life. Becomes much more possible. Now I'm bringing my attention to, so when I'm breathing, I'm also paying attention. It also is closer to my sense of breathing, my sense of smell, So I can notice any smells that's there. If I can smell the smells, which means my thinking is working more. There is a science to it, but if you can smell things and subtle smells, then your thinking is more present because there is something called as olfactory bulbs. Now these are all nerves of the smelling centers, which is just under your cerebrum. If your brain is too agitated about something, it goes and sits on these nerves, so to speak, so that you can't smell in some way. If you can smell subtle smells, your brain is more likely to be functioning well, which means your thinking is more likely to be in the present moment than clouded, taken away by emotions. Now, so if you can pay attention to subtle smells, subtle sounds, your common sense is more functioning, And then try and see if you can feel a coolness about your eyes. Sorry. If you can feel a coolness about your eyelids. Most likely, you're having a cooler head. If you can notice the coolness about your eyes, we can smell subtle smells, and if you can hear subtle sounds, and see if you can taste your saliva. Saliva also has a taste. If you can taste your saliva, you're more likely to be in the present moment than being taken away by some emotion or something, or some agitation that's happening in the environment. Then notice if you can feel the warmth of your body. warmth, not the hotness. Warmth and softness of your body. Okay? If you can feel the moistness, okay? If you can feel the moisture around your skin, you are likely to more be in the present moment. Because these are subtle sensations. Unless you're actually paying attention to it, you don't really know that this is happening. Okay? And if you can be with that sense of, okay, there's moisture around your skin, and not to be taken away by it, like you want to hide somewhere, or you want to run away. And if you're aware of it, then you're more aware of your emotional state, which means awareness is key. Once you're aware, you're more likely to respond appropriately to take care of your safety and respond to, say, risky, threatful environment maybe, so that you are being safe and people around you are being safe and nobody is losing their common sense, and we don't want, so things are continuing to remain safe for everybody. Yeah. So notice how your feet is on the ground. Yeah. If you have a sense of you want to, you will notice any sense of wanting to run away, or just standing, and or are you feeling safe and grounded by how your feet are feeling on the ground? Do you feel your feet able to calmly be on the ground? That'll tell you how much you may be in the present moment versus taken away by, say, some emotional reaction or some memory or some experience from the past or something that may not be as safe for you. Yeah, you will know. So breath, subtle sounds, subtle smells, the taste of your saliva, coolness about your eyes. These tend to help be in the present moment and safe. The longer you practice this during everyday moments, you're likely to know when you are not being safe enough, or when you are being in maybe risky situations. And it becomes more and more possible for you to be in safe situations. And more likely to be doing what is best suited for your health, for the quality of your life, and where you are expected to be headed, rather than deviating from the path that you're supposed to be on, and maybe just taken away by some temptation or something that's happening in the environment, which may not be what you're supposed to be doing right now. So if you can notice these subtle sensations, you're more likely to be on your path, doing what you're supposed to be doing in this moment. Okay. Thank you for your attention. I hope this practice comes to be of benefit to you. With practice, it becomes easier to be harmonious, in peace with yourself, with the environment around you. And most likely, people around you are also likely to be moving through safe spaces, which is healthy for them, and that has people walk the path that they are supposed to be doing for the health of themselves, for health of the family, health of the society. Thank you for your attention.